like for this album, Mustang Run, did you guys get together and do some rehearsing, in different rotation with? Because I know you use a lot of different players on.
Well, this record I didn't use my band on every track. I used my band, which I consider to be Wilfredo Reyes and Dave Murata. Of course, my next tour is Jason Smith on drums and Stuart Ham on bass, so that's going to be a different version of it. But what I decided to do on this record was different rhythm sections, just to inspire different sounds and different grooves and everything. So I started by making this sort of commercial shuffle called a mandola. And I knew that a great shuffle drummer in town, just a real unique shuffle drummer, was Greg Bissonette. He's out with Ringo right now, so... And, he's done everybody from David Lee Roth to ELO, all these great bands.
Ringo, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, some guy.
Some he was in some band back in the 60s.
Yeah. So anyway, I used Greg on a couple tunes with Dave Murata, but the next batch of tunes I thought, these are a little bit more open, free kind of tunes. So I got Chad Wackerman, who's a dear friend, and Jimmy Johnson to play bass and drums. And those guys are an incredible rhythm section together. They play together for years. So that was really fun. We played like some 6/8 time type stuff. I gave Jimmy a bass line like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. And the chorus works. So, you can hear that. So it's a little jazzy.
It's a little. It's got a little bop in it.
Yeah. And it's called Fourth Door on the Right. That song. And the reason is because these are fourths. Fourths. Right. Fourth, third, fourth, third, fourth. A bunch of fourths. So I have this old McCoy Tyner album called Reaching Forth. Well, F-O-U-R-T-H. So I thought I should make a little pun on that because there's a lot of fourths in that melody. But Fourth Door on the Right also relates to this funny story. Actually, it wasn't funny at the time, but I was playing in a big arena in Bremen, Germany with Supertramp. And my band had played in Bremen many, many years prior to that, so I had a lot of fans. And some of them and some of the promoters and things like that had contacted me and said, hey man, can you put me on the guest list? So I had a huge guest list of about 15 or 16 people in Bremen, maybe even 20. So we finished the big concert. It's a huge 18,000 seater, and I'm backstage, and I asked the tour manager, "Hey, where do we put the after show guests?" And he goes, "They're right up that hallway there, fourth door on the right." So I change in out of whatever stage clothes, sweaty stage clothes, and put a t-shirt on and everything, and I went up there, walking up this hallway, looking for these guests, and I opened a door, nobody, opened another door, nobody. I think the fourth door I opened, it was like, I pushed it forward like this, and just out of nowhere, a giant Rottweiler leaped off this couch through the air and bit me here on this hard part, and right here. Just this, sunk his teeth into me.
That could have killed your career.
God, and I'm just like, I kicked the dog and slammed the door, but now every heartbeat is gushing blood. So I go back to the backstage, and they go, "Get the ambulance," because those big arenas always have an ambulance there and stuff like that. These guys put a tourniquet on my arm and rushed me down to this hospital in the middle of the night in Bremen. It was like this gnarly, dark, goth building that, like the lights are off and it's, black, and go in these darkened halls, and they hand me a clipboard, and, I can't use this hand, so I'm trying to figure out German. This must be my name, and so left-handed, and I'm writing like Frankenstein, and then this must be my address, and it was really ridiculous. But it was okay, in a few days it was fine. The tetanus shots in my butt hurt more than the dog bite.
Oh yeah. Well, at least it didn't. You didn't sever like a major artery.
Yeah, I know, man.
Or get an infection or something like that.
Yeah, I know. Boy, it was scary.
So how long was it before you could play? I'm just curious.
Oh, I think I played like 2 nights later, but
oh, wow.
I had a little bandage situation on. Maybe I was clunky, but I pulled it off.
Wow.
All Chuck Berry solos, Anyway. So.
Wow. So you got we were talking about some of the ideas, the thought process that goes behind making the album.
Mm-hmm.
And was there one particular tune or two tunes that you think that you just like, wow, this is exactly what I meant to say, like just really, like.
Wow. Well, that's a good question. Yeah, I would say. Let me just think. Like, if I could do anything over, would I? And the very first track is called Taylor's Blues. I've got an old friend from Pasadena where I grew up named Jeff Taylor, and we were in bands together, high school and beyond. And he was maybe a year older than me, and he just knew a lot about guitar playing. He goes, "Man, what are you doing? Your fingernails are too long. Cut those things, and you play a lot better." And then he picks up my guitar and goes, "What are you doing, man? Your frets are too low. You should get a fret job." And I'm going, "What's a fret job? You're a kid." 17 years old, something like that. So anyway, I wrote a song called Taylor's Blues, and I remember tracking it with the guys. And when it was over, I like to track it and then take a copy of the basics home and figure, like, how am I going to flesh this out, and what do I want to say on the solo? And I'll just play. I don't really work things out as much as play along with the basics for maybe 5 days, then go back in and record that and maybe a second tune. Just get familiar. Well, went into the studio and I brought this 1972 Les Paul that I have, which is sitting right over there.
Is that the deluxe with the bigger pickups?
Yeah, yeah. It's a deluxe with real PAFs. I took some PAFs out of an old 58 175.
I see.
So it's a poor man's 58, But it's a great guitar, and it just sounds wonderful. Plugged it in and did a solo pretty much the very first take. I got little sounds and then got it. Let's go, and it was one of those, like, I can't do any better than that kind of thing. So anyway, so that one I'm really happy with. The melody on that is, like if you take, it's a blues in C, right? So if you take this C7 chord, which is basically, root, seventh, the tritone, 7th, 3rd, and root, and there's an F7th, and there's a C9th, right? So, but what I did is I took that little form and went, So using that little form, I just slid up into it. And so I wrote a blues. It's faster than that. So. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, using that little
form. A little funky too.
Yeah, I made a blues, and we shuffled on it. And then the bass player on that day was Dave Murata, and he said, instead of going one, quick change blues, he said, just stay on it. And boy, it really was a great idea. It almost has just a more driving sound than going to the 4 chord right away. So 4 bars of C is the way we did it. So Anyway.